There are three things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and former Eagles players who are low-key bitter talking to the national media about them. It's one of them. It has been a bumpy couple of weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we've seen everything from the cutting of Zach Brown to Doug Peterson guaranteeing wins to this. I woke up this morning to see Orlando Scandrick on Undisputed with Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, a dream trio if I've ever seen one, to talk about the Eagles. And now, why would Scandrick go on national television? Why would a player who's just been cut by a team with so much locker room dysfunction go on national television? And that's what we're going to find out today. So buckle up, strap yourselves in. We're going to dissect the entire thing together, me and you. And if this video is 250 likes, we will give away a PSN hoodie. So to be in with a chance of winning, leave a like to be part of that. Drop your comments down below to let us know. That's how we're going to pick a winner. So drop your opinion down below and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's get on with the tea spilling.
Now joined by former Eagles cornerback Orlando Scandrick. Now, Orlando, you were in that locker room as recently as Sunday.
Boy, was I.
Boy, was he. Yes, you were, Orlando, because you were too busy giving up dodgy passes, weren't you? You gave up that awful near touchdown to your former team. So, boy, were you? Yes, you were. Boy.
And by the way, you're welcome here as opposed to there.
Thanks.
Right, that's annoyed me. Skip, there's no need to be, oh, you're welcome here as opposed to that. No, you've probably chirped him on for a bit of that, hasn't he? Scandrick's just been cut. He could do with the money right now. A little bit of guarantee. Maybe even wants to think about a broadcasting career. What better way than to come on? It's like they've lured him in. They've lured him away. I'm not happy with that.
Like the change.
Well, thank you.
Oh, and now he's flirting. Great.
And then we go up to Minnesota and we get smashed. And then we go to Dallas and we get smashed.
Why is Orlando Scandrick just like a spirit animal of me? I mean, I'm not saying he's for the entire interview, but that's a very LJ podcast type vibe there. And I respect it. And to be fair to him, I'd be bitter as well. He was elite against the New York Jets, which isn't really saying much, I know. But the point is, they go to Minnesota, he was barely used. He goes to Dallas, was barely used, and then burned a little bit. So, yeah, I don't think, if I'm honest, I think Scandrick may have been a scapegoat cut to set the tone along with Akeem Spencer. He wasn't certainly the worst player on the field. I can see why he'd feel hard done by here.
51 snaps, I think, against Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have my best performance. You know, I had some rough moments, but...
Say that again.
It felt really, really scapegoatish. The problem in Philadelphia is much, much deeper than me.
What?
Why was there a silence there? I mean, if anyone came into that interview expecting, Orlando Scandrick, personification of everything wrong with the Eagles in 2019, they had another thing coming. If this is your first glimpse of what's wrong with the Eagles and you think it's somehow all on a backup nickel corner signed in week 4, you've got another thing coming.
Some of the problems that's going on.
I think they're having a tough time dealing with success. Whenever you gotta say, oh, we're gonna get it together. Oh, no one believes in us. Oh, it's about us. You already doomed.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. And I think this has been a point that we've brought up recently. For those of you that have listened to the Flipping the Birds podcast, the Eagles haven't been the same since that Super Bowl win. And you go away from that win. Putting targets on their back didn't work. It took them to have their backs against the wall, injury depleted, for them to get any kind of response. And we've seen that 2 years in a row. So maybe this has some weight. Are the Eagles getting complacent? Is there just this sort of kind of attitude? Maybe from some players, definitely not all. But you can certainly see why an outsider going into that locker room for a couple of weeks would view that way. It's not a championship reality or a championship culture like you see in New England.
Zach Brown goes out and says, you know, we need to put it in the quarterback's hand. He gets released. The head coach goes out and says, oh, we're going to go down to Dallas and we're going to win and go be in first place. Should he get released?
No.
He listens to the podcast. He listens to the podcast. You can listen to it too, the Outside Inside Out, every Friday afternoon, a little after this video. So go and subscribe.
Explained to me from Howie, and I don't believe anything that Howie says. Howie is one of the people that if he told me it was raining outside, I'd probably, you know, get some shorts just because.
I mean, if you live in England, Orlando, you do that every day anyway, buddy. I wouldn't worry too much about your rain. You've got bigger problems to worry about. I mean, although the analogy was good, little bit concerning from your general manager.
That's tough. That's tough.
He put it to me as he wanted to play some younger players, and they're a mess on defense, and they needed to get some more defensive linemen, so we'll see how that works for them this weekend up in Buffalo.
I mean, you see how that works for them. You do realise, Orlando, that currently their entire defensive tackle group consists of Fletcher Cox, Bruce Hector, Anthony Rush, and Albert Huggins. Elite. Now, do you know what? Forget it. Keep Orlando, mate. If I'm honest, I think that's great. That's perfect. That's what they want. Don't worry about the defensive line and the fact that Fletcher Cox has to carry the unit again. Just put Orlando in there. You might as well.
Let's just say where there's smoke, there's fire. You've been in a lot of locker rooms. If me and you are having a conversation in the locker room and it gets leaked to him, so he's going to get the edited version. What was the version that me and you were actually talking about?
Right, now I don't exactly know what he's talking about here. If he's referencing Olshon, that implies that Josina Anderson's just leaning there with her ear against the wall in a tin cup, trying to pick up on what's going on. If we're talking about Lane Johnson, he went to the media and said it. Like, he went to the media and said that. That's not a leak. That's him going to a reporter and saying this is happening. That's more of a fact than a leak. Although it has been negated by just about everyone ever, that's a more concerning thing.
Alshon was the one who took an anonymous shot at the quarterback.
I love Alshon, and I'm going to take it for what he said. It wasn't him, but it came from somewhere.
Probably you, Orlando, because Josina sort of outed you after this, didn't she? So, well played, if I'm honest, buddy. You've done your job there. Good one.
I would tell guys when I came there, like, I still feel like they're living on that Super Bowl high. Like, it's over. You living in the past, but some of the...
Right, why would you tell someone, in what instance would you tell someone that? Now, imagine this in any other scenario. Someone comes into your work late, all right? You work in a retail store or an office, and you go, all right, Jeremy, why are you late today? Don't mind me, just a little bit late. Well, do you know what, Jeremy? You're still living off of that one night out 3 weeks ago where you jumped off a table and everyone loved you and you went viral on Facebook, all right? Get over it. It happened. Get to work. It's 2 weeks later now. Sort it out. It's just not the same. I can't think of a situation where as a newcomer to a team, you'd put your bags down and go, God, bloody hell, you lot are living in the past. What's that, Lombardi over there? Take that down. God, living in the past, bloody sort it out.
And for me, 12 years... no Super Bowls, no Super Bowl appearances. And some of those guys, they haven't even faced the harsh reality of a losing season.
Fair enough. Do you know what? That's a good point. If he does want a career in TV, that's the sort of point you need to make. I think that's very good. Well done.
You say, we're all going to stick together, we're all in this together, but then you get Lane saying people's late to meetings. There's some accountability issues going on there, and it starts from the top.
He often backs it up.
He backs it up. Yeah, he's a good player.
Yep.
But is this something that you could have said privately?
I was just talking about that to somebody. Like, why not go to that guy?
You were just talking about that. Well, you were just talking. To who? A producer? What are you doing? Texting Avonte Maddox? Just about to go on FS1, lol. Do you think we need to do that? Like, behave. You weren't just talking to someone about that.
Have a hell of a game on Sunday.
Right.
So instead of, going out and attacking somebody being late, the first thing that you could have did is just looked in the mirror and maybe went to that guy and pulled him to the side and said, hey, we can't be late.
Funny how you're putting Lane on blast for accountability issues, but you're the one going to national media about accountability issues. You're missing the point there, Orlando. That's a little bit ironic, don't you think?
Get this together. We got to set examples. We're the vets on this team because they're not talking about a rookie being late. They're not talking about just some guy that's the 52nd, 53rd man on the roster, some guy that doesn't play and active being late. That comment is about somebody of some significance. So instead of hiding behind a...
You know who
I don't know who it is, and I wasn't there long enough to even dive into it.
What do you mean you don't know who it is and you weren't long enough? So you weren't at any team meeting or any practice where one of those players of the 53 would have been late? I mean, I think you were, Orlando. I think you were. Either Lane's comment is out of context and no one knows what's going on, he doesn't know where he's got it from, or Orlando's trying to protect his own back because he was one of the people late to meetings.
And you already know,
Exactly.
when you lose, the fingers is you. And then when you have success, it's like, oh, it's fine, let it slip through the cracks.
See that for sure. I think you are prone to let more slide when you're successful because you're not worrying about it because you're successful. Naturally, when things aren't going so well, you have to come down a little bit harder. Whether Peterson is or isn't doing that right now, that's a debate that we really can't engage in because we don't know how Peterson runs things behind the scenes. All we get is what comes out via the press, via quotes and what he tells people. So that's contextual, but it can definitely hold some weight for sure.
All that success you mentioned was achieved with Nick Foles at quarterback.
Oh, bloody hell!
There's a ton of pressure on him, but let's just start here. Nick Foles is not walking through that door.
Nope.
Thank you. It shouldn't even be a debate. I don't know why this gets brought up so often. It genuinely annoys me. I even see it in my mentions at Liam Jenkins PSN. I don't understand it. I never will understand it. Just bury it, let it go.
Somewhere in the happy medium, they're going to have to figure out how to
get over
get over
what he done.
Yet there's a big story in PhillyVoice.com questioning.
Don't mention Philly Sports Network and all of our good stories, so do you, Skip?
I love Carson, man. I thought that he was a great guy. I thought he was stand-up. I thought he was... I'm going to compare him to your quarterback.
Okay.
I spent enough time with both of them. Dak, natural born. First one in the building. Last one out. Doing extra things.
That might be his greatest strength.
Doing extra things. Carson, if you go back to earlier in the season, they dropped a few passes, and now they want to stay after practice and catch some extra passes.
Oh! Do you know what? I know people are going to kick off about the whole Wentz to Dak comparison, but you can't even be mad at that. Like, fair point. Fair point. Why is he going to come to that to put the extra effort in? Like, yeah, do you know what? Said this after week 2. I was like, I don't know what I want to see from Carson Wentz. On the field, we're seeing enough. But what I would love to see is him stay behind after practice. You're without Deshaun Jackson. The other receivers are struggling. Stay after practice with them. Be that leader. Get the best out of them. He has. I mean, Scandrick just said that. So whether or not it had to get to that point to happen, that's a different debate. But it's interesting that he brings it up. I don't think fans can be too mad at that.
Leveled at Minnesota and then at Dallas. Was there any talking? Was there any clashing?
I think on defense, I think they've stuck together pretty good.
Shame the stats don't reflect that, though, Orlando. Innit?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that Rasul Douglas, who's a good friend of mine, I think he took some unwanted heat for some blown coverages.
Thank you. Right, he watches Philly Sports Net. I'm sure of it. Orlando is a PSN stan. Absolutely. Rasul Douglas was being blasted for stuff that wasn't his fault. Absolutely. I wonder where he goes with this.
On some other people's selfish play. And we don't even have to say names.
Yeah, we do. I know you're talking about.
We don't have to say names at all. They know who they are. Skip, you've watched a lot.
Oh, I know a lot of football.
So I think
It might have been the guy that got ran over, Skip. I don't know, but it might have been him.
Guy named Jenkins, maybe?
Oh, no.
I don't know. Malcolm Jenkins?
It was Liam. Sorry, I'll go.
Yes.
Maybe
Paul Roscoe Jenkins.
good. But I mean, I think that when you wear a C on your jersey, it's your job to bring guys along. It's your job to sometimes you need to take the hard down. You need to take the hard job. And you need to, like, bring the thing together. I don't know if that's the case. You know?
That is interesting. Because obviously no one likes to criticise Malcolm Jenkins, but his play this year has been substandard to what we've come to expect from him. He's coming off a year where he held out for a contract extension. He didn't get it. He's now in the huddle. The defense is struggling. I can see why he'd be a little more conservative. Like, do you know what? I can see, I mean, not saying it is or it isn't, but I can see if this were true, why the attitude would spring from there. Like, it's logical. It's not total out of the whim, like what's he talking about. You can understand why that would happen.
Look at everything that happened. You hold out for a contract, you come in, you're not really making any plays, like splash plays. Then you go down to Minnesota and, you know, you somehow supposed to be in the half of the field and you end up playing a crosser, like, at home. If I could take back one thing or one regret that I have in my whole entire sports career, it would have been to stay with that Dallas Cowboy organization through thick and thin. And I had a long...
But you didn't, so on you really, innit? If I could go back a year and change how things ended up with my WCW, I would. I didn't. I'm here. You move on, all right? It happens, Orlando. Just let it go. You're the one telling this... Hang on a minute. You're the one telling the Eagles that they need to stop living in the past of the Super Bowl glory and move on and let it go. And you're crying about leaving the Cowboys. Jeez, the irony here is bad.
Conversation with Sean Lee before the game, and
Did you?
You know,
on the field?
No, on the phone.
On the
Me
phone?
and Sean are great friends. We had a long conversation.
You spoke to him on the phone? What were you doing in the locker room? Sean, but it's Orlando. I'm in the stadium. Where are you? They've just got that walkie-talkie thing on the Apple Watch where they're like, Sean, where are you? I spy with my little... Like, that's awful.
Conversation that wasn't even about, like, football. It just was about, like, his loyalty to Dallas and, you know, and how I was happy for him for grinding through it and being healthy and...
So it's about football. At the end of that then, I think it gets to a point, like, I understand that fans will view this as malicious, that Scandrick's going to go out, he's been given a bag, he's going to trash talk the Eagles and hype on the cart while it's all catching fire, take the moral high ground, he's bitter about leaving. Fair enough, I don't think that's 100% wrong, I think it's probably accurate. But at some point, when there are so many messengers coming out with the exact same message, regardless of reason, at some stage you've got to overlook that and look at what's being said, which is the locker room is essentially falling to pieces, which there are accountability concerns, there are now selfish players in the locker room, and you've still got the whole anonymous thing. So, context of it or not, I think Scandrick is onto something here. It's disappointing, it's hugely disappointing, and he's gone out to the national media, ruined the Eagles in terms of vocally, and then just done a bit of that to the Dallas Cowboys. But at the end of the day, what he was saying wasn't 100% away from the truth. None of this is like a revelation to me. It shouldn't be to you. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles respond to this weekend. But guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to grind through that with me. It means a lot. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you next time.